Now let's take a look at whether employers around the U.S. are ready to start hiring again. For that, we bring in Becky Frankiewicz. She is president of ManpowerGroup North America. Becky, it's good to see you. I know that you all did a survey of, I think, 7,500 employers and asked them when they expect to get back to the pre-coronavirus hiring levels. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think 60% said that will happen sometime between now and the next 9 months.
Yes, that's accurate, Becky. So first, I'd say we're cautiously optimistic that we're approaching a turning point in how our labor market heals from this health crisis. And one of those reasons, retrospective data is going to come out later today, but one of those reasons is we are starting to see very early signs of recovery, both in demand, so job postings in the last week, but also in how companies are talking about their recovery. And so we did at ManpowerGroup a survey of 7,500 American employers and asked them, when do you expect hiring to be back to pre-COVID levels? And to your point, 60% said they expected to be back by the end of the year. Now, that also leaves 40% that are saying it's going to take longer or we don't know. But 60% is a fairly optimistic number, given we're sitting in June.
I guess, but correct me, but 9 months from now would be in the spring of next year, not the end of this year.
60% are by the end of the year, so the end of December of this year, and the balance are saying it could take a year, and there's about 20% that are saying they don't know when recovery would happen. The other interesting thing, Becky, is when you compare American companies to companies outside the U.S., so the global base, we are more optimistic as Americans in terms of employers than globally, where only 40% of companies are saying they'll be back to pre-COVID hiring by December of this year.
What do you think when we have economists who come on pretty routinely and tell us that they think by December we will still be looking at an unemployment rate of 8 to 9%? Does that kind of match up with what you're hearing from these employers directly?
Yes, likely so. So it's going to be a very slow road to recovery. And anytime we talk about, we're starting to see early signs of movement and recovery, they're very small. And the base, Becky, is very low. I mean, there's no question the jobs report today is going to be a difficult one. And that's why it's important to, instead of waiting for the months to measure jobs, to look week by week. And we've seen in the past week about a 10% increase in open jobs in the country. Again, that's 6.5 million open jobs versus the over 40 million Americans that have filed for unemployment. So you have to keep everything in perspective. But to grow, we have to start seeing these early signs.
Okay, the way that employers are probably hiring these days and the employees that are most valued at this point are probably a little different, just based on how consumers have changed, based on how working from home has changed things to this point. I know you also surveyed to look at either essential and non-essential employees. Which skill set is rising as being the one that is most in demand at this point?
Yeah, so we're seeing the emergence of a new labor market, Becky. So the essential jobs that got us through the crisis are starting to look a little different than those that are going to pull us out. So we're seeing growth, of course, on the essential side, continued in grocery retail, continued in healthcare. On the non-essential side, significant demand around software developers and application developers. And you might say, why is that? Well, because anytime you want to order groceries or go to a fast food restaurant, becoming the norm now is ordering on an app. So this importance of application developers. We're also seeing Steve, who spoke earlier around mortgages, or the economist that spoke around mortgages, he was talking about the increase in refinancing. We're seeing increased demand in people in that industry as well, in the finance industry. So, the things that will get us out are looking different than the things that have gotten us through the crisis, the jobs.